from Global Kingston, this is CKWS News at Noon.
Good afternoon. I'm Erin Strickland filling in for Megan Culture. We begin in British Columbia, where the province is entering a new phase of the pandemic. Health officials say the region is ready to begin reopening.
This is indeed a good day, and one that I've been waiting for a long time, as I'm sure many people in British Columbia have too.
BC's top doctor was visibly emotional announcing the province's restart plan. It includes a 4-step tiered approach with a goal to return to normal by the end of the summer.
The circuit breaker restrictions that we put in place 6 weeks ago have accomplished what they set out to do. The light that we've been talking about for weeks and weeks now is at hand.
Indoor dining has now resumed with some restrictions, and outdoor sports games are allowed. By July, masks will no longer be required indoors, and if all goes according to plan, British Columbia could reach the final step of reopening by early September. Meantime, the situation in Manitoba remains dire. That province is still dealing with a surge of new infections and people becoming seriously ill. Hospitals are overwhelmed. Nearly 24 critical COVID patients have been airlifted to hospitals in Ontario. Doctors say other Manitobans waiting for urgent surgeries have been left to suffer.
It is clear that cancers are progressing and are not being operated on. People who have aneurysms, the aneurysms are bursting at home and people are dying. 6 patients have already died on the cardiac surgery waitlist.
The Manitoba government has extended a ban on outdoor social gatherings until Saturday. But a group of doctors says that doesn't go far enough and are calling on the province to impose a stay-at-home order and close non-essential businesses. With tens of thousands of AstraZeneca doses set to expire at the end of May, the province is now making them available as second doses at the pharmacy where you got the first shot. Darren Davis reports.
It just came in this little paper bag.
And in that paper bag is Loyalist Pharmacy's supply of second dose AstraZeneca vaccine.
We have 300 doses here at Loyalist Pharmacy.
The vaccines arrived in KFLNA over the weekend following the provincial government's decision last Friday to make 45,000 doses of AstraZeneca available before they expire at the end of the month.
We will work with our pharmacy partners to distribute to them. The large chains get it through an independent distributor that the government works with. And the smaller chains will be getting it through us.
Baker's doses of AstraZeneca came from Public Health Tuesday morning.
Pharmacies who participated in the pilot program will be reaching out or are in the process of reaching out to everyone who had their immunization with us from March 10th to 19th. That's the first week of the program.
Larry Whitmarsh is one of the lucky ones. He was due for a second shot in June, but he falls into that March 10 to 19 first shot group.
My second appointment, I was supposed to go the 7th, but now I'm getting in early, which I'm happy.
But getting the second dose won't be as easy for some. Public Health has confirmed to Global News that of the 46 pharmacies that took part in the initial AstraZeneca pilot, only 27 are participating in this shortened second round.
Pharmacies that are participating, most of us are proactively reaching out to their patients. I have maybe about 50 people left on my list that I'm actively sending rescheduling links out to, and people can be expecting those.
Baker says for those who received the AstraZeneca vaccine between March 10 to 19th at pharmacies no longer involved in this phase of the rollout, there may be spots open at the over 24 pharmacies still participating. Darren Davis, Global News, Kingston.
Ontario is reporting 1,095 new COVID-19 cases today, following a downward trend over the last couple of weeks. 23 more deaths were also recorded. In the Kingston area, for the first time in recent memory, there were no new cases yesterday. 11 people have recovered since Monday. Active cases stand at 27. 3 new cases were added in Leeds, Grenville, Lanark, pushing active cases there back up to 32. 4 new infections in Hastings, Prince Edward, and 11 more recoveries. The active case count has fallen to 36. Provincial police are asking for your help to locate a man considered armed and dangerous. He's wanted in connection with a pair of assaults in Deseronto. Police allege 42-year-old Joseph Bedar attacked 2 people with a hammer and a knife at a house on St. George Street Monday afternoon. Police believe Bedar is also responsible for an incident last Friday when 3 people were assaulted with a fire extinguisher. Badar is 6'1" and weighs 180 pounds with short blonde hair and an unshaven face. He may also be driving a silver Dodge Dakota pickup truck. A warrant has been issued for his arrest on assault and weapons charges. If you see Badar, call 911 immediately. A former child and youth psychiatrist who practiced in Kingston for almost 2 decades is facing sexual assault and sexual exploitation charges in Alberta. None of the allegations stem from her time in Kingston, but as Ledna Mohammed found out recently, 2 local former patients are speaking out, saying that when they were referred to Dr. Roberts for help, they received anything but.
Very, very grateful.
Dr. Nazreen Roberts worked with Kingston Health Sciences and at Queen's University between 2002 and 2020. CKWS News interviewed her about new technology in 2016.
It's going to be phenomenally useful and helpful.
Roberts is now facing charges of sexual assault and sexual exploitation in Alberta, according to the RCMP. The crimes are alleged to have taken place between 1993 and 1994 in the Banff, Alberta area. Few details can be shared about the charges due to a publication ban meant to protect potential victims. Global News spoke to 4 former Shaken Up patients in total, but highlighted 2 who say the way Dr. Roberts treated them was far from therapeutic.
I do remember her saying that, my problems were insignificant.
I was told that I was choosing to be mentally ill.
Tyler and Susanna Potvin are now married, but in 2007, they met as teenagers at the inpatient unit of Hotel Dieu, under the care of Dr. Roberts.
I was in there twice before I realized that being in there and seeking help was worse than just surviving on your own.
Global News reached out to Dr. Roberts through her lawyer, Jennifer Rattan.
Rattan responded by saying doctor-patient confidentiality and doctor privacy obligations prevent Dr. Roberts from participating in any interview or making comment to the media at this time.
Ann Stewart, a mother of another Kingston patient, has her own recollection of a particularly upsetting interaction between Roberts and her son Aiden.
She told Aiden right to his face, a 7-year-old, that he was never going to amount to anything, that he was always going to be a burden on me.
Stewart says she battled with Roberts over her son's care and treatment, including an incident after Aiden had run away from school.
He was taken back to the hospital, put in a room with only a mattress for 24 hours.
Eventually, Stewart was able to find another doctor to treat Aiden, but soon after, he began refusing to attend. It would prove to be the beginning of a downward spiral that ended tragically years later.
Unfortunately, he took his own life in 2017.
Kingston Health Sciences Center and Queen's University, both of which Dr. Roberts worked at, released a joint statement to Global News. It reads in part, "We are not aware of any complaints of this nature raised with KHSC or Queen's during Dr. Roberts' time at both institutions." They also could not comment on any specific allegations due to patient confidentiality. KHSC says that they take all complaints seriously and their patient relations program is open to patients and families who wish to speak about their experiences. Ledna Mohammed, Global News, Kingston.
The criminal case involving former U.S. President Donald Trump appears to be heating up. There are reports prosecutors have convened a special grand jury in their investigation into the Trump Organization. Laura Podesta has the latest.
A 2-year investigation into the Trump Organization may be advancing into a new phase. First reported by the Washington Post, a source also tells the Associated Press the Manhattan District Attorney's Office is convening a special grand jury to possibly consider criminal charges against top executives at former President Trump's company. A key target of the investigation is longtime Trump Organization CFO Allen Weisselberg. CBS News has learned investigators are looking at the legality of tuition payments Weisselberg made to his grandchildren's New York private school. His former daughter-in-law says some of the checks were signed by Weisselberg or Donald Trump.
He knows where all the bodies are buried. If there were accounting tricks, they would have had to go by him.
Among the issues Manhattan DA Cy Vance is investigating, possible hush payments made on behalf of Mr. Trump to silence women who claim to have had affairs with him, and potential property overvaluations. Those real estate accusations are something Mr. Trump's former personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, alleged to Congress 2 years ago.
To your knowledge, did the president or his company ever inflate assets or revenues?
Yes.
And was that done with the president's knowledge or direction?
everything was done with the knowledge and at the direction of Mr. Trump.
In a statement, Mr. Trump called the investigation purely political and driven by highly partisan Democrat prosecutors. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
The city's splash pads are set to reopen this week. Starting today, 8 of Kingston's 9 splash pads will be open to the public. The exception is Memorial Center Pad, which opens on Friday. The city is urging people to continue to follow health guidelines while using the splash pads, including maintaining physical distancing and using elbows to activate splash pads instead of hands. The city's splash pads will operate daily from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And now let's head over to Bill for a check on our forecast. Bill, what can we expect for our Wednesday afternoon?
Thank you very much, Aaron. Well, we had some sunshine earlier this morning. We do see a little bit of sunshine to begin the afternoon, and then those clouds start to build. And with those clouds, a chance of a light rain. We'll get to 23, maybe 24 degrees today. Above average and made to feel even warmer once you factor in that humidex value. It'll feel like the low 30s. And then we slip to 19 degrees late evening. And noticeably cooler tomorrow and even into Friday. I'll tell you how low we will go coming up a little later. Aaron, back to you.
Thanks, Bill. We'll check in with you a little bit later.
You bet.
Still ahead, some tips on how to prepare for paramedics when they arrive on scene during an emergency, what you need to know. And later, visitors on a polar tour got a surprise in Antarctica's Ross Sea. We're back after this.